Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel, and in today's video, we will be determining the depth of a trance. So, there are different sorts of trances that you can get into: light trances, medium trances, and a full on trance. A little side note before we get started is there is a Patreon where all the slides will be available, as well as additional content, so feel free to check that out if you are interested. And let's get started, guys. So, the light trance state. The subject is physically relaxed. The subject's eyelids may flutter or twitch. Sounds may become painful. So, in a light trance state, right, what ends up happening is the subject becomes in a state of relaxation, but they're not fully relaxed. They're not in a full trance state. In this light trance state, alpha waves are obviously abundant, but it isn't at a full trance state of where you can control them yet. Light to medium trance state. The subject's limbs feel heavy. The subject's breathing becomes slower and deeper. Intense feeling of deeper relaxation. The subject does not feel like moving, speaking, or thinking. The subject feels detached from his or her surroundings. So now when we have the subject in this sort of trance state, this is where we can really mesh new ideologies in. We can use and control them in a much easier way when they're in this light to medium trance state, because now they are detached from the physical body. They are sort of in a astral projection form when they are not feeling the physical plane. They're still awake, but they are in a very deep relaxation with the alpha waves intact, sort of almost connecting into theta waves. So a medium trance state. The subject is aware of the trance but cannot describe it. Suggestive state. For example, the operator suggests the subject has an ant on his arm or her arm, and the subject can actually feel it crawling, even though there is nothing there, or the operator suggests there is a smoke in the room, and the subject smells it, though there is no smoke. Catalepsy. A condition characterized by a lack of response to external stimuli and muscular rigidity, so the limbs remain in whatever position they are placed. So guys, when you're in this state, when we turn off the left side of the brain, the logical side, when we're in this medium trance, what ends up happening is their brain, the corpus callosum, is now not intertwining with the discriminatory left side brain. The right side brain is now creating. It's now believing whatever ideology. This very accepting side of the brain, its ability to create ideology and accept new malleable things is immense, right? And when we bring catalepsy into it, when the body is now just stuck there, right, in a trance of just what many people that are that smoke marijuana, they would tell you it's sort of couch lock. It's a similar type of ordeal where you're stuck there, and now you're able to really get your subject to not only be under your hypnosis, but under your sort of spell. Deep or somnambulistic trance state. The subject can open eyes without affecting the trance. Fixed stare and pupil dilation when eyes are opened. Complete amnesia. Systematic post-hypnotic amnesia, uncontrolled movement of eyeballs, sensations of lightness, floating, swinging, or falling. The subject experiences distortion of sound. The subject can control his or her involuntary body functions, heart rate, blood pressure. Recall of lost memories, age regression, visual hallucinations, auditory hallucinations, and total anesthesia. So, in a deep stance, a deep trance state, what ends up happening is the subject is now in the astral plane. While their physical body still remains here, they're in the astral plane. And while you're in control of how they're moving in the astral plane, you're in a much more deeper control when they're in this deep somnambulistic trance state. A complete amnesia of what's going on. And when people are in an amnesic state, amnesia can happen any time. It could happen at any moment. It could happen when you're young, it can happen. When you're old, it can happen. When you're in any nuance you could think of, an amnesia state can happen. Therefore, this is when you are the most malleable and most acceptable to any thought or any sort of coercion or any sort of ideal. This is why institutions like the CIA or therapists or psychiatrists or things of that nature that are using controls on the subject understand that you have to get your control in a state of this deep trance. This is how you get them to do whatever it is you want them to do, right? So what ends up happening is when they are in this trance state, this complete amnesic state, they are more accepting to new forms of ideas. When the left side brain is now not in its discriminatory functioning, the conscious brain running off beta waves or gamma waves, it is now in a stance where time is slowing down. Everything is slowing down. They are accepting to this new ideology. You are in control of how their brain functions and how their brain perceives things. Of course, to get to this deep somnambulistic trance state, you have to remove mental blocks, because there's some individuals that have extreme mental blocks. This is why oftentimes you have to take sessions and sessions and sessions to break down these walls, so you could eventually get the control to amalgamate to whatever it is you want them to amalgamate to. Methods of testing the depth of the trance. The operator must establish the depth of the trance in order to remain in control of the session. This is done by testing the subject for receptivity to the operator's suggestions. The most common method used is where the operator tells the subject he or she cannot move his arm. Example, your arm is stuck to the chair. You cannot lift it, and when I count to 5, I want you to try to lift it. If you have cooperated, you will find that the harder you try to lift your arm, the more it stuck to the chair. Now, this is a test, right? Now, this is a verbal test under hypnosis when they're under a trance state. The words you're saying are now something that they truly believe. This is why we have to understand words are extremely powerful, because if you believe it, your thoughts, emotions will follow. And if this two are following, actions are the byproduct of it. If actions are the byproduct of it, then this is what's known as manifesting in the ether. They will believe this, right? They will truly believe this, and they don't understand how powerful their own brain is, to the point where the operator seems like a magician, almost like a Houdini, because they're telling you exactly what it is, and you're understanding it is going exactly how they said it, because your brain is so powerful that you're believing this, and your emotions follow what you believe, because your emotions do not know right or wrong. It only knows the true willpower of you. You are the willpower. It only follows you in your command. You are the commander. Therefore, if you believe, it won't lift and it will remain stuck, as the operator says. You are now in a deep trance. The operator then counts to 5, saying after each number, your arm is stuck to the chair. When 5 is reached, if the subject cannot move his or her arm, they are in a trance. If the subject can move his or her arm, he has not accepted the suggestion. The operator must start all over again and explain he or she can do nothing without the subject's cooperation. It is always important to secure the trust of the subject. So, this is why rapport is always needed. You have to build rapport with your controls, because if you do not build this rapport of trust, then it becomes very difficult, right? You need to make sure they're malleable in some sense. This is not just to say that they have to be completely submissive to what you're saying, but it's to say that they have to be open to suggestion. They have to be open and cooperative to what you're saying. This is how you get them in the trance in the first place. This is why hypnosis, they try to slow things down. They try to say it in a very polite manner. They try to say it in a very lighter tone. The tonality is always important. Having their eyes closed is very important. This is how we put them in an amnesic state. The next stage is where the operator deepens the trance and again checks to see how deep the subject has gone. The operator tells the subject he or she will stroke the back of the subject's hand, and he or she will feel an increasing numbness and loss of sensation in that hand. After a few minutes of stroking and speaking, the operator pinches the back of the subject's hand and then does the same with the back of the other hand that has not been stroked and asks the subject if he or she can feel any difference. If the subject replies that there is a difference, this stage of trance has been achieved. If not, the operator explains to the subject that further work on deepening the trance must be done. More sessions will be needed to take the subject deeper and deeper. So, this is just a test of compliance that many operators do to make sure that you are in a deeper trance. This is just a test, right? So, like we mentioned before in previous videos, if the walls are not broken, more sessions will be needed. And consistency and sessions are how you break these walls down to make them more compliable, to make them more assimilative to your thought and to your suggestion, and to create cooperativeness. The next stage, the operator test, is even deeper stage. If the subject is advanced to this stage, he or she will be amnesic. The operator tells the subject to imagine that he or she is standing in front of a blackboard with a piece of white chalk and instructs him or her to take the chalk and write 3 words on the board. Now I want you to take the chalk and write the following 3 words on the blackboard. First, tree. Next, grass. And lastly, cloud. Raise your arm when you are finished writing the 3 words. When the subject has signaled he or she has done the writing, the operator instructs to him or her that there is an eraser on the ledge of the blackboard and says, I want you to take the eraser and erase the words tree and grass, leaving only the word cloud. As you erase the words, I want you to also erase them from your mind, so that all you can think of now is cloud. Cloud. You are going into a deeper and deeper sleep. You are in a deep sound sleep, and all you can think of is the word cloud. Now, what were the 3 words you wrote on the blackboard? If the subject is able to remember the 3 words, he or she has not yet reached the amnesic stage of trance. If not, the subject has reached the stage of deep trance. The operator should then say, when I count to 3, you will then remember the 3 words and then repeat them to me. The subject then will be able to remember the words and repeat them. So, this is another compliance test, but the reason why they're doing this is for a psychological reason. The psychological reason is to truly understand that they are following what is said from the operator. The control does not know the difference between putting these mental blocks when they're in this amnesic state. When they're in this amnesic state going into a deeper sleep, they end up losing some sort of sight within what just transpired. This is why they get you in this deep sleep-like alpha wave state. Because if you're fully awake and your gamma waves are working and your beta waves are firing at full range, you're going to discriminate. You're going to say, of course I remember what just happened. But when you're in this amnesic state, you can easily forget what you just did. You can easily just bypass certain steps. You can easily get them to do certain things that they wouldn't even question. This is why, and then the operator finally, as a test of compliance and cooperativeness, they say, with powerful incantation, they say this in a powerful way, you will then remember the 3 words and repeat them to me. After that, they will remember and repeat it back, even in this amnesic state. Now that you've told them what they can or can't do, it shall suffice exactly how you said it, because the subject is unaware of how powerful their brain is. The subconscious brain is very aware of how powerful it is. In order to be able to place the subject in this stage of trance, the next time the operator performs the hypnosis, he or she should tell the subject before bringing him or her back, from now on, whenever I put you into a trance, you will have reached the same depth of trance as you are here by the time I have counted to 10. The operator then brings the subject out of the trance. I am now going to count up to 5. When I reach 5, you will be wide awake and feel refreshed and fine. So there's a reason why oftentimes we see things that are rhyming, right? Rhyming and words are spell-like, right? When we say things, it's almost like a spell. Think about when you say things and when you say things so much, people repeat it. Repetition, right? This is why when music you hear, it has rhymes and repetitions because they want you to remember this rhyme and repetition. This is similar to how psychiatrists or controls or operators operate on beings. So we have to understand that these are the depths of trance, right? So guys, this is the end of the video for depths of trance. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Also, feel free to check out the Patreon. This is your fallen angel, and I am out.